Hello everyone, just a very brief introduction. I'm going to be doing this new deathmatch playthrough, so this is in the 2023 after the patch 4.0, so just going to be doing a playthrough and also making an updated guide series for how to play deathmatch, what I think are the best abilities after everything has been redone. And so without further ado, I'm just going to let myself jump into it, and this will be the unedited version with its own commentary, and then there will be an edited version in the form of episodes for like an actual walkthrough later. So I hope you enjoy. Please like, comment and sub, and here we go. Hello everyone, this is Demon Phoenix, and I'm just starting a new deathmatch playthrough. I'll also be trying to double this up as a deathmatch walkthrough with shorter clips a little bit later on. So we're going to have a see of how this works out, and yeah, hopefully it's all good. So this is going to be imparting whatever knowledge I have for a deathmatch playthrough, showing off how I think you should build Geralt going forward. And I think it was it's really interesting to play deathmatch, especially with the rebalance. I'll be trying to stick with some of the things that I did in my first deathmatch playthrough, but updating them for how things change with the patch, particularly the fact that the ability trees have changed, so you can get further down in the trees, you can get to the later skills trees earlier. And yeah, we're just going to kick off with the first fight with the ghouls, and this is all going to be on deathmatch. So the first fight is an interesting one. So you start with just the Tawny Owl potion. You don't have Swallow yet for healing. You have a little bit of food, but the food is not as effective as it used to be for healing during combat. So this first fight on deathmatch, you have to be very careful. So I've got my quick sign casting there, so we use Gwent. You'll get used to doing that a lot. And your stamina is the yellow bar at the top left as it's showing now. So if you've not played before, basically when your Gwent pops like that, you just need to be dodging. I dodge using circle, and basically you always want to be having Gwent up before you take a hit in this battle, so you can take it slow and steady. And one of the things I would definitely do is you can see how long it takes for your stamina to go back up there, and you do have the Tawny Owl potion, which will basically redo all of your increase your stamina regeneration, so that's very good. Right, get all this out of the way. So you start with just one potion. This one is a throwback to an earlier patch. That's not important yet, it's not a regular potion. So you can put the Tawny Owl in your quick slot there, and you get 3 of them, and when you meditate you will get those back for the cost of 1 alcohol. So we'll cover that a little bit later, but basically pop the Tawny Owl potion first. This will let you get a few hits in, get Gwent up quicker, and you can see that the stamina regeneration is a bit quicker there, and you can use Igni to try and burn them. You see that although it did a fair amount of direct damage, it actually does a ton of burning damage if you can set them aflame, which you will still be able to do early on. So then you just pick off the ghouls one by one, keeping Gwent up, dodging like this. If you can hit them with multiple of them with Igni at a time, that's a good idea. But the main focus is just to keep your Gwent up for the entirety of this fight, and indeed all early fights on deathmatch. Gwent is life, so we are just making sure that if we're playing it super safe, we've not got Gwent up, then we prioritize that first. It's not a good idea to really take pot shots with Igni until you're a lot better at dodging. So you see there, it also tells you about adrenaline points, so these are really important. They are very useful for a multitude of things and a very key part of any build, so I'm going to be talking about adrenaline points quite a lot. They increase your damage by 10% per adrenaline point, and also give a slight sign intensity boost. I believe it's 5% per point. So after you have taken out all these, make sure that you collect everything from their bodies. Early on in a playthrough, you'll also want to be collecting a lot of herbs. So you see these green herbs on the map, the mini map in the top left. There are quite a few in White Orchard that you get a lot of where you don't get them in other areas of the game as much. It's an odd thing, it gives you some of the important ones quite early on. So these Celandine, these yellow ones, and Blow Ball, these are also yellow but they look slightly different. You want a couple of those. Celandine makes your main healing potion, which is where the majority of the healing in the game is going to be coming from. So you don't have to loot all the herbs, but it's a good idea to get into the habit of grabbing these ones like Blow Ball and things like that. There is a ghoul's nest down here if you wanted to go and take that out, but I'm going to be playing this super safe and trying to give an idea of how you would go about the game safely on Deathmatch and what to prioritize, and so we're going to be doing that first. So the first major thing that we're going to be doing is finding Roach. After we've won that fight, collected a couple of the herbs, and I'm going to be going through some of the tips that we have here as well. So it tells you how to canter and things. Roach gets stuck on a tree because it wouldn't be The Witcher 3 without Roach being silly, although we do love her so.
Tell you about this sorcerer I knew.
And we're just going to follow this round this way. So we're going to ride Roach. Now normally you just follow Vesemir, you ride all along this road until it gets to the cutscene, you get to the main town. I'm actually going to take a very slight diversion and just jump off here, because this little town part is something that you want to be exploring, and I'll show you where it is. It's just this bit on the map. You can always come back here later, but you'll see why, hopefully. There are a couple of chests and things to loot around here, and usually you'll get some good stuff. So we've got a meteorite silver ingot there, and it says there about destroying objects. You can use Ard just to smash through that, get a couple of things, and this is why we want to search in here. You need a silver ingot to make a silver sword later in the game, and usually looting some of the chests in these huts, I'm not sure if they're like a fixed drop, but there are usually things that you will get from those which will include a silver ingot. So make sure you loot these things, you might as well on the way, but you can always come back here. I showed where it was on the minimap. So there's a few chests and houses and stuff like this to loot, and we're going to do that first. You can also do this, there's a quest that we'll cover a little bit later, a side quest, and it will bring you back here anyway when you talk to Dune, who is one of the people that you end up talking to for a side quest. But yeah, just make sure you loot this stuff whilst you're here. There's a lot of looting to be done early on, and a couple of key things that you want to get, which include stuff for making the swords that we're going to get in White Orchard a little bit later. So the main thing is check here, see if you get a silver ingot. That was the short summary of what we're doing. All these very upset people, very distressing, but never mind. Right, so you can either get those now or you can get them later, but whichever way you choose to do it, come here, and then we're just going to ignore those drowners for now, and we will come back to them. We're just going to ride and follow Vesemir. So we follow Vesemir into the main town. A couple of things that we want to for as well. We've got this super cutscene. Beautiful game. It's so good with the update and things as well. I'm just using a slightly different microphone this time, just to filter out some of the background noise, because I'll be doing this commentary whilst playing. So have a quick look at that. And then we get our first encounter with the Griffin, which is really interesting. So the first area of White Orchard is all about the training for the game. It gives you the basics, and the area follows a main quest. There's a couple of sub-quests as well that you can get some good things for, and basically the quest follows you sorting out this griffin, which is the main part of White Orchard, and the sort of training or introductory area of the game gets resolved after you have dealt with this griffin. So when you talk to this guy, you might as well, you can get a little bit of crown, a few crowns if you want, but I always say you don't always a thing, which gets you a little bit of healing, a couple of healing items. So I always go with that. Gets you a couple of extra healing items early on. Food is a bit different now post patch. It's changed so that instead, it used to heal you like a load of you know, a significant amount of healing even whilst you're in combat, which doesn't really make any sense if you think about it. So here again, this is another part that we're going to stop just before we get to the main town, so you can either do this now or later. So we're heading here to the main town, going to sort some stuff here, but you can loot things from this little house and this bit there. So just going to do that first whilst we're on. We'll dismount, you can go, just giving you the basic instructions as we do this kind of thing. Make sure you listen to those if you need to. And yeah, just a couple of things to pick up. These things are honeycombs. You always want to burn a honeycomb with Igni, or you can knock them down with Ard and then burn them if they're difficult to reach. And the reason is that you get 3 or 4 honeycombs from those. and that's important because you can sell those to the herbalists. So honeycombs count as food items, but they sell for a slightly higher price to herbalists. So you can always loot all this kind of thing, the herbs and everything. You never get in trouble for those. Don't use signing things around the guards, they get all stressed out. And you can check if they're going to get annoyed at you for looting things by just pressing X the first time and then not actually finishing taking stuff until you are sure that they are not going to get upset with you, which is good because you don't want to be aggroing the guards. So you can take all this stuff, a lot of it, even though it's junk, it's just taking space in your inventory, but some of it's useful and you can always sell the stuff. So normally we should be building up a lot of money over time, but you know, it's important to be making sure that we maximize money early on, selling the junk and things like that. Now you saw there those little chests that I just got. I had wire in. That's important for upgrading your armor in a little bit. And this chest is important. It always has a dimeritium ingot in, so that's good. And then we can try and knock this honeycomb down. Try and hit it with igni. It's a bit awkward to get this one, so you sometimes find that you might have to jump up a certain place and then try and hit it, which can be a bit awkward. But I'll not spend ages doing this, but good idea to get, there you go, that's how you get it. But you can jump up on here if you can get up on the roof. Okay, see if we can set this on fire from here. Oh, it's awkward. There might be a better way of getting this, but honestly I can't remember what it is. So, oh, shut up. Right, anyway, there's honeycomb to get there, that's annoying. But get that if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. Don't upset the guards using igni whilst you do it either, because that's annoying. Get down. Right, it's annoying me now. Anyway, that's how you, I think that's how you do it. You get up on the roof, whatever. Aha, I wonder if you can get it from up there. Yeah, got it. Anywho, oh, I lost health somewhere there. Alright, whatever. Anyway, so that's how you heal. I'll just show that. You heal out of combat by using food, and it heals you very, very slowly. You can kill the chickens. I'm going to be showing that in just a minute, but we don't want to be doing that just yet. So you can summon your horse as well. Just make sure these guys don't get upset by taking this. Good. There's no warning message there, so we're alright to take those. Another quick thing is, as you're coming onto the outskirts of town, this place here, if you don't get wire from the chest that I just showed, you will normally get some up here. So got alchemy paste, empty bottle, none of that's very useful, but you will sometimes get wire from these crates, and we need wire as it's one of the items you're not always guaranteed to get. There you go, there's some wire, and you want to get those as much as you can. So you're allowed to loot this stuff as long as the guards aren't going to get annoyed with you for doing it, so just bear that in mind. It'll give you a warning if they are going to. So there we go, alchemist powder, worn leather, and then water. So we've got a couple of wire now, and that's important. We're going to need those later, and then we can just make our way over here and carry on. So we've got populated areas, notice boards, things like that. Don't kill the cows around here, it's not a good idea. Sometimes you'll be able to loot this without guards being around. You can see there's no guards, so there's no warning. But if there are guards stood about, just be aware that they will get annoyed and start a fight with you, and you don't want that. It's just unnecessary hassle. Getting alcohol is always a good thing in The Witcher 3, because that's what lets you get your alchemy stuff back. So all bombs, potions, everything like that, you can get back by meditating at the cost of 1 alcohol. So far that's just the Tornial that we've got, the Tornial potion, but that's really good. So we want to build up a little stock of alcohol and just be making the best use of.
Show me what you got.
There you go, we've got the roasted chicken leg for saying that Bram, the guy we saved, didn't owe us any money, so at least we've got that little bit of extra healing now. And if you're going to be planning on playing Gwent, which I am, you can buy the Gwent cards right off and see if you can sell her anything as well. She will you know, buy things from you like ladders and all this. You can always keep some of these if you want, but I'm just going to keep the hides because I might need to dismantle them to be upgrading the armor, but you can sell the junk items for the most part. So I'm going to buy those Gwent cards because I'll be playing those. We do love Gwent. And then ending the conversation. Obviously if it's first time played, you might want to take a bit more time, but this is just for the purposes of doing a guide for a game that I've played a ton of times. So You'll get in a fight with these guys as you're coming out. You can use Axie to get a bit of extra experience during certain things. I won't usually be using the Delusion skill, which will get you extra stuff, but it can be worth doing. So we're going to play the first Gwent. We're going to play the first Gwent game, the tutorial. You can go over the tutorial if you're not familiar with how Gwent works, but I will just be skipping it over because I've played Gwent absolutely loads. So there I've just got clear weather effects. If you bought that card, that's one of the cards we just bought from the innkeeper, so we're going to add these cards here. Take out a couple of the really poor ones that we're just not bothered about, especially the Foot Shoulder. That's just a dreadful card. And the Northern Realms deck is pretty good for starting off anyway, so I'll take out the poor infantry. We need one more card to put back in. Okay, so I do need one more card in, so I'll put the infantry back in just for now. Okay. Don't feel like we need all of the weather cards, so I tend to take all but one of those out usually. One of each, and two of the clear weathers. I'll just take one of those out. I like to keep the deck light on units. I honestly can't remember what's the ideal setup for early on. We'll see with this. This first one doesn't tend to be too difficult, so we'll just get rid of some of these. Always want to try and get a spy card if you can early on, and that's the spy that we've got. Fab. Alright. So we're just going to be seeing how we go. I always start off with a spy pretty much. That does give them 5 points, but I'm just going to see how we go with that. Oh, that was easy. That's that. And Nilfgaard does have some of the siege cards, which are the back row ones, but not as many as the Northern Realms deck. So we're going to be just focusing on using those for this round. And there you go, there's one of theirs, which is 5 strength, but I've got a few more in there at 6 strength. So it's interesting because Nilfgaard does have the leader ability to play Torrential Rain, which reduces all of the values of your cards at the back. But as you can see here in this particular game, his is coming up as red, which means he's not able to use the leader ability. Oh, there you go. So he must actually have that card available in his deck, so it could reduce the value of these cards, but I have my leader ability, which lets me use the clear weather from what I remember. So yeah, just gonna play all these basically. If it goes as chalk, then we'll normally win this game. Right, so there's the Torrential Rain, but we'll be able to clear that at the end. Just check if they play all their other cards first, and then we'll clear that. Oh, you don't even have to play the clear weather card, it just clears it. Cool. And they're out of cards and we win. Cool. So, first Gwent game under the belt. There we go. Then he tells you all about Gwent and he gives you the book of Gwent and all that kind of stuff that shows you where all of your cards are. Then we're going to talk to this gentleman, Gwent O'Dim, who is absolutely not important at all, I promise. Right, okay. So, talk to this guy, Gwent O'Dim. I always tell this guy, let's have a drink, because it gets you a Nilfgaardian lemon, and that gives you one extra meditation. So that Nilfgaardian lemon, if you're out of all other alcohol, would allow you to basically meditate and get your potions back one extra time. So say whatever you want to this, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to just be whizzing through all this dialogue, and then we're going to go through. Perhaps we'll meet one day again. Yeah, maybe we will. Right, so you can basically stun these guys first, usually. Ooh, very nice there. Right, so I always say back off, get the Axie just to stop one of these guys. So you still have to fight 2 of them. These are so annoying on deathmatch, honestly, the fist fights. But what I normally do is just parry with left trigger as they come for that. Try and take them out one at a time. That makes it easier. And then you can just hang on about there. Sometimes you can get Roach to kick them, which is funny as hell. So if you try and punch them back into the horses, sometimes they get knocked out. So anyway, you take out those, you get a big chunk of experience, top fun. Right, so now we have free reign here. I'm just going to use a bit of healing. So we've got 5 bread, 3 water. Now you may be thinking that's, you know, a couple of things for healing out of battle, but not loads. And you might be right, but there are ways around this. You can get a few extras. You can kill the cows for cow hides. Don't do that. There is a hidden surprise if you did try and do that, but as long as the guards aren't about and you're not annoying them, you can use R to knock out the geese and stuff. So like there, when you knock out the geese, they'll give you either raw meat, which is like one of the lower healing items, but at least it heals you a little bit. There are these chickens and hens around this area. You can get eggs, feathers, which are useful for crafting runes a little bit later in the game. But yeah, it's all worth doing. So you can take out those birds, get that little bit of extra healing if you want. Nothing in there, can't get through that one. And there's a few other sub-quests and side quests and things like that that we want to be doing. So we're just going to get these chicken legs first of all. They're okay for healing, so again, just add on these things. You can do it around the regular folk as much as you want, pretty much. Just don't do it around guards. You normally get a tiny bit of warning first that'll tell you don't do that again, and you can see them telling Geralt off. Is there no door into this hut? Oh yeah, there is. And you can loot things in the hut, which is always a decent idea, because again, you never know what useful items you might get. Some you can just sell. Ergo seeds, they're slightly rarer alchemy items than the standard ones. So yeah, it can be worth doing. So make sure you're looting all this stuff, get that extra bit of food. Alkahest, absolutely brilliant. We want as many of those as possible because we want to be being able to meditate and get our potions back. Potions are extremely useful on deathmatch. Making good use of those makes your life a lot easier. So we've got this guy, and we'll talk to him very shortly. You can use, you can increase your damage a little bit by using the whetstone. And more importantly, we are just going to make our way to this notice board. And the reason the notice board is important is it gives you the location of undiscovered locations, and it also gives you a couple of extra contracts. So there it's saying we've got the world map, and here on the world map we've got a load of different stuff to use. We can scroll about. You've got the default there, but if you change it to all in the bottom left, it shows you these undiscovered locations once you have got the notice board. And the reason that's important is there are a couple of these 2 in particular are places of power, and some of the places of power are unguarded, and what that lets you do is get a couple of ability points and get an ability right away. So that is going to be our first priority, is this one here, and this is a completely unguarded place of power, so we're going to be doing that. So that is an early objective and something we're going to be doing very soon. So we're going to speak to this guy whilst we're here, this surly dwarven fellow, and yeah, we've got, yeah, whatever. You can say whatever you want to him, but we're going to go and find this arsonist, and we've got that quest updated there. So we're going to track the side quest. This one's very easy. Just if it's your first time playing the game, you can obviously get the listen to all the tutorials, but for myself I'm just going to be skipping over them. You can just tap the left trigger whilst running if you want to, just to go through, just keep you, because you're supposed to like hold your Witcher senses and run like this, but I just tap them and just keep that up. You don't have to examine each little bit, you're just following the tracks until you get to here, and there you go. Make sure you grab this chest here, get a few orens or whatever random items there are. Follow your Witcher senses.
Something
find that. Yep. Right, so drowners attack this dude, as we establish here, and then we're going to be following this until we find out where the drowners are. So that's the guard there. So if there are guards about, you want to be a little more careful about using Ard or Igni on the ducks or the fowl and other things. Right, so trail ends, loot all this stuff. Things you pick up there like Evolus and Redanian Lager are alcohol of a different type, so those are food items, so they're like beers and things. So they're not alcohol that will replenish your potions. They are like a food item, but they'll make you drunk and mess up your senses a bit if you use them, so try not to do that.
Their claw marks.
I just sell those for extra cash. I'll be doing that every time. So we speak to this guy again. Make your own decision. Do what you like.
Nasty.
I always just take the little bit of the experience. Make sure this guy comes with. He's like, no. So you use Axie in conversation again. You don't have to wait for this guy. I always thought you had to like wait and babysit him all the way back, but you don't. You can just run right back to the dwarf. So yeah, once we've done this one, the dwarf will be available to craft armor for us. So he crafts armor, and there's a guy in the Nilfgaardian camp that we'll be heading to, the Nilfgaardian fort, and he is a blacksmith, so he will be able to create swords for us and forge them. So yeah, we've got that, and now this guy is available, and he can also dismantle stuff for you. So he can craft armor, and what he can craft in this case is an upgrade for our basic chest armor. So we've got the chest armor already. I already made a point of saying about the wire, so now we just have to have a look. So we've got the wire. What we need are leather scraps and cured leather. So sometimes you'll just find those things, sometimes you'll be able to dismantle them. So just have a quick look at the things you've picked up so far. Leather scraps and cured leather. So if we were to dismantle that now, that would cost us 7, that would cost us 8, and we can get that. So let's just see if there's anything else we can get, anything cheaper. Is that 10 per hide? Oh, that's 5 per hide. Okay, so that'll be marginally cheaper. Oh no, that's cheaper, because that's 1, so 4 there. We don't need to dismantle them both, and we need a cured leather, so that's 7. Those cost more to dismantle because they're more valuable items, so if you do that, you should then be able to craft that armor. So that's a good idea to do straight away. So if you can do this, you can also buy them, but you can see how much more expensive it is to buy versus dismantling, so that's why we chose not to do that there. And now we've got all these components, and you can see on the right hand side the resistances are higher if you upgrade this armor. So that's why we're wanting to do that, make that a priority. We get that warrior's leather jacket, it gives us a higher armor rating, so it goes from 15 to 30, and it also, more importantly, gives us higher resistances. So the resistance types, you've got piercing, which is from arrows and those type of damage usually. Then you've got bludgeoning damage, which is enemies wielding maces and clubs and blunt objects like that. And then slashing damage is the normal sword damage, so a lot of enemies and bandits will have swords, and those are slashing damage. Resistance from monsters is very important because that's all monster types, so things like ghouls, griffins, drowners, everything like that. And then elemental damage is things like wraiths for the most part, so ghostly enemies. And as you can see, this little upgrade that we get there costs a little bit of money, but we had enough to do that all right away from finding that wire and then dismantling the other things to get the components, and we got that little bit of an upgrade right away. So that's why we do this little do this quest. We actually get 20 crowns for completing the quest as well, and so as you can see, I'm at 106 crowns, but I've already upgraded my armor there, so that's very important. Next on the list, we've got a few things that we can do round White Orchard. As I mentioned, there are some types of herbs that you want to get. There's celandine here, and celandine's very important because, like I said, it's going to make our healing potion, which on Death March is very important. And then we have these, which are arenaria. Now arenaria, that white plant, there are a couple of them here. There's lots of it in White Orchard in these fields. So these fields are just on the outskirts of town. So if you ever need to return to them, it's these fields here, and you can get arenaria in these fields, and they'll sort of replenish themselves, the plant, a lot quicker than you would normally think, because you know it's a video game, so don't get stressed. But there's arenaria. We've got a few other types to get here as well, some ranagrin and crow's eye and things like that, but it's mainly the arenaria that we want. So I would say just spend a couple of seconds legging it around this field, picking up all the arenaria in particular, and just grab all this stuff. They streamline this a little bit as well, so you got half the button presses, only 1 instead of 2 now. I love how they make quality of life changes like that, really good. You can also go and wipe out a few of these sheep if you want. I don't think they go down to Ard usually, they need Igni. but you can grab a bit of raw meat for them. Don't stray too far. A lot of the animals will just run away if you get too close to them, so don't spend ages chasing them down. The main thing is we want these arenaria, so grab these, pick up a lot. Same thing here, you can pick up all these herbs, but then also if you wanted to, you can get a few hides from the goat. And so as you're showing there, you need to use Igni rather than hard. Sometimes you get meat, sometimes you get hides, but you know, you'd normally be alright with doing those. You don't have to. If you know, if that upsets you, then you don't have to. Don't worry about it. But I just think of it in terms of it's all a little bit of extra money, and money is always useful early in the game, because it's not until a little bit later that you build it up and end up with loads. So we've collected loads of arenaria and stuff like that, and now we can continue. Now one of the other things we can do is you can go in your quests. You've got your main quest like that, but you've also got these quests that we got from the notice board, and you can have a look at which contracts. One of them is Devil by the Well, and this will bring you to this hut. Inquire about the quest and try and figure out what you're doing before you actually take on the quest and the monster. So you can get that. Make sure you're looting everything here. Got an emerald there, that's extremely valuable. Not sure what these poor villagers are doing having an emerald, but I'm just going to nick it anyway. And then we loot all of their things from the home because we just like that. Sorry. Got a little bit of extra Redanian red and Nilfgaardian lemon. And then we can speak to this guy about the contract. With contracts, you can choose whether you want to haggle to get more money, but I generally don't do that because it's not a significant lot of money a lot of the time. With this one, I never even bother haggling because I know full well that you get a better reward for turning the money down at the end of the quest. So we speak to him, he tells us about a ghost, but we're not going to carry on and do that quest just yet. Now that we've collected everything we want to in White Orchard, as we've said, we are going to be heading here. So I've set a custom marker. This one's a bandit camp. We don't want to take that off yet, on yet. But here we have the custom marker, and we're just going to go and get a place of power first. Now this one's completely unguarded. So there are two places of power that you can try and get right away if you would like, but the one of them you definitely want is completely unguarded. So make sure you're picking up the Celandine, because like I say, that's very important for making Swallow the potion, which will be our next point of call after getting these this place of power. So we're going to do that first. Some of the story quests. So you can set a custom marker, ride on Roach. Even if you come across any wolves or anything like that, you'll generally be able to ride right past them. Follow this marker and you'll come across this terrain that you can eventually get around. Now there's something here. Oh yeah, there's some loot here, don't worry about that. We can find that a little bit later if you're nothing amazing or spectacular there, but might as well grab it while I'm here. Your Witcher sensors will show you enemies as well from a distance, like you can hear them. Those are wolves. We don't want to be messing with those yet, but we do want to be heading to this part of the map. So just find your way around this terrain following the marker that we've set, and you can hear that noise there. That is the place of power. So this one
draw from it.
Is completely unguarded, so you hold to draw, and that will give you an ability point. So you go to the character panel to learn a new ability. Now, it was always a toss-up between two things really. If you wanted the really OP one, originally you would get Gourmet, which changed how your healing from food worked, but that's not really as much of a thing now. So you could use it, but it changes how you regenerate vitality, but vitality regeneration from food is very low, so we're not bothered about having that last a longer amount of time. There are some very good ones, but the one that I'm going to say is Griffin School Technique should always be your first one. So for each medium armor, it increases sign intensity by 5% and stamina regeneration by 5%, and that is absolutely fantastic. And the reason that is good is even though it says 5% per piece of medium gear for the stamina regeneration, it's actually a little bit different. So I'll show you what we're talking about here. So here it gives you a little bit of a, thing about potions. Yes, that's great. But here we've got Warrior's Leather Jacket, and all of our Witcher gear, the gear that we start with, is medium armor. And so that's why Griffin School Techniques is extremely good, because it gives us a boost to sign intensity from having that, and more importantly, that 30 per second stamina regeneration in combat is much higher because we have that ability now. So we can summon Roach back. And when it says, like I say, the skill actually says sign intensity by 5%, so that's 20% total. Stamina regeneration by 5%, but it's not actually 5%. It's 5 per second, so that's still a mistake in the description. So you can see there, like 20% of 10 seconds, 20% of 10 per second would be like 2. So it'd be 12 per second, which is not a big difference, but actually it is 5 per second, 5 stamina regeneration per second per piece of medium gear, and that is why it leaps up to 30, and that is absolutely crucial, and that's why I would always say get that skill first, and I always stick with the medium armor and use that point on that skill. And that is essentially pretty much what you need to deal with most of the stuff in White Orchard. So that's the first thing I do. So from this point we have a couple of things that we could choose to do. We could either go and get all this stuff by the Devil by the Well, which is definitely one way you can go. I believe that the Spectre turns up straight away, so you have to fight it a little bit before you do anything else in that quest now, which I don't think used to be the case. So you can do Devil by the Well, or you can go and do the Nilfgaardian, speak to the Nilfgaardian captain for the main quest, or you can try and get a second place of power. So one of the things about the places of power is until you get to level 2 you don't have a second slot. So when you get to level 2 you get to put a mutagen here when you pick those up, and you get to put a second slot, but there's no reason for us to actually go and do much else at the moment because we don't have any slots unlocked. So given that that is the case, what we're going to do is go back to the main quest. You get a lot of experience for doing the main quest in The Witcher 3, and so it's a very good idea for us to do that first, get that out of the way, and get that experience and try and aim to get level 2. And there's a couple of other things that you can get, like bonuses and rewards for doing certain ones of the quest. So we've got that place of power, we've got our key skill Griffin School Techniques first of all, and now we're just going to follow the marker all the way up, just ignore everything else, and we can deal with other things in due course. So that's what we're going to do now. Just going to ride all the way north. You can stop and just do a side quest here as well, about getting the pan, with the famous dialogue of "Found the pan, have ye?" You see that exclamation mark on the mini-map, that shows you that there's a quest available, so you can stop and do this on the way if you would like. So you can do this very quickly if you just want to skip the dialogue. It is just like a hilarious, if you think about the insane amount of dialogue that they added for just tiny little things in this game, it's so well done. Anyway, so you can do this,
just in case.
smash the door. There's a few useful things to loot. Dark steel plate, that's pretty good. Bella's runestone, that's very good. That gives you you can put those runestones in your sword and increase the capabilities of the sword with a couple of extra things there. You can also find diagrams scattered throughout the world, and they are usually randomized in each playthrough, I think, apart from maybe certain ones. But yeah,
Some old scars.
a lot of them are just randomly put,
Nothing.
randomly scattered throughout the world. So you need to be trying to loot as many of those chests as possible and get those. So you just search all this stuff. Found a pan of ye. Right. Get all this stuff.
Almost entirely burned.
Yep. Got the burned papers. Read those. And just basically loot everything. Right. So now that we've done that, nice easy side quest.
Decided it was.
You give her the pan back, and she gives you a little bit of food and extra stuff like that. So might as well. Got that first crucial side quest down. So one of the other key things that we want to be doing is looking in the alchemy, and you start off knowing a couple of recipes, and there's key things that you can get. So the reason that celandine is important is that means that you only need 1 drowner brain to be able to make swallow, so that is going to be next on our list. We'll do that very soon. You can also make spectre and necrophage oil. You need dog tallow, which is from killing a wolf or dog, wild dog, and you need a bear fat to be able to make spectre oil and that arenaria. So you actually will pick up a bear fat from chests around the devil in the well area, so we're going to do that in a little bit now, and that's why we're not too bothered about fighting those things. So these drowners, you can sort of either take them on if you want, or you can leave it a little bit. Whilst we're just riding past, I might as well see what level they are and take them on. So these are level 4, and that's why you probably want to leave it a little bit, to be perfectly honest, but yeah. They're very susceptible to fire damage, so you can try and take them out, and you can let them burn, and they take that damage, and then after they take that damage, after you take that damage, oh, he's run off down the beach. Oh, you annoying little thing. Right, we'll go and find another one later. Anyway, after they are taking that fire damage, that allows you to let your stamina build up again. And then you can just hit them with another Igni, or you can get your Quen up and hit them with a few sword strikes. So that's a good tactic for hitting drowners. So we're just going to carry on, go and speak to the Nilfgaardian chap, and then we'll make getting the drowner brain our next priority soon after. So ride roach all the way along here. Just going to ignore this stuff. You've got guarded treasure and the wolves, you can try and fight those later, but I'll pick up this stuff after the fact. Come back, probably I tend to, if we're trying to do things as easily as possible, then we want to leave as many as the fights and exploring until after we've got swallow and we have got our swords sorted out, because there's a couple of really good early upgrades that you can get from the swords, so we're going to prioritize doing those. So just going to go through all this, and there's quite a few things that we can get. You don't want to be looting here, so this is the warning that they will give you. You're about to steal something, don't do that. So yeah, it's not worth taking stuff if the guards are about and they're going to get annoyed about it. So we can just get this stuff that's out of the way. 33 orange, so nothing to sniff at there. Make sure you get those. And then we're just going to head back over. So again, you don't want to be looting things in plain sight of the guards. You can normally get away with taking some stuff like that symbol above the loot will show you when you're going to get in trouble, but this stuff that's a bit out of the corner, you're normally alright to take this stuff. So just check that you don't get the warning when you take these things, and anything that's not really useful doesn't have a lot of weight, but you can loot it and basically sell it later. So you can always take these things like the herbs, mushrooms count as herbs as well. You can always take those without annoying the guards, and if you come in this little area here, you can jump up and you can smash through this wall and get a couple of things there as well. So we're going to jump through here, grab the key to get back, and we got another sword, and I believe, what did we get there, a ruby or something? That was pretty good. Oh, wolf's liver. Okay, so we got wolf's liver, another alkahest, things like that. Have a quick check, see if any of the swords are stronger, which this one is. So we'll start using that. Tiny bit of extra damage. That one's got a critical hit damage bonus, so we can choose between either of them. That one's a bit pointless. But yeah, these starting swords aren't like amazing or anything, so you can definitely get those. So armor pierce, no critical hit damage bonus, we'll go for that. If you dismantle a sword, which you can always dismantle a sword later and get the runes back. So if you wanted to, you could just put like one of these runes in there and then always dismantle it later. You could put armor piercing, chance to stun, any of that. So yeah, I'll just go with the stunning one, just to show that you can do that if you wish, and that's going to be good to go. So always helpful to just loot this kind of stuff and then sell the things that you don't need. So again, repeated theme, but you just want to be grabbing stuff as you're going past it if it's not going to cause any problems. This guy, he is a blacksmith, so as the other guy can make your armor, this guy can make swords. Now we haven't found the diagrams for the swords yet, but it's very useful to be able to do that. So We also can sell him some stuff, so the other swords that we're not using, we can sell those. We're not going to be using this armor because that's a bad armor, so we'll just sell that there. And yeah, you can get a couple of useful things. I would never buy these, the other things, you know, for making swords. The swords that we want are very specific. We want the Viper ones, and they're extremely good. So, yep, we're going to have a look at those first and come back there.
So long.
Right. So we'll go and sort those out.
How much?
Speak to this guy. This is the Nilfgaardian General, Captain, dude. I don't know. This guy, anyway. Alright, so we get there. Okay, we're going to trade off the fact that we will take out a Griffin in exchange for the information about where Yennefer's gone. So that's what we're talking about here. And we're going to get some info about the Griffin, and we're going to find something about a specific herb. So we need to go to speak to two people. Tomira is the herbalist, and Mislav as well. So just check that we're not getting in trouble for nicking this stuff again. There we go. So the first thing I want to be doing of these two quests is Tomira, because she has a couple of really good little rewards that she will give you. And so we've got ask the hunter where he found the bodies, or ask the herbalist about the buckthorn. You can use the right stick to switch between your objectives, as you can see there. Ask the hunter. We're going to do the herbalist one first, but there's also a little subquest about having which you need Swallow for, and you get a big chunk of experience for it early in the game, and she gives you a ton of little rewards as well. So just want to bear that in mind. Now we can fast travel. It's just told us that we can fast travel for the first time, but first I want to be trying to find some drowners. So we're going to try and find some drowners and try and get ourselves a drowner brain. Don't want to be taking on the wolves just yet. I probably could do, but it's not 100% necessary. One other thing you can do is there are some rewards underwater, and we want to get those before the end of White Orchard when Vesemir gives us the crossbow, and that's because there's a load of good stuff to pick up underwater, but the drowners won't be underwater yet. There will be drowners if you've got the crossbow, because that's how you kill things when you're underwater, but the game won't put any underwater enemies in until you can actually deal with them. So it's a good idea to just get the stuff from underwater, and there's quite a few good things to get there. And so you do that before the drowners are actually turning up. So we're going to swim over here and then dive under and get them. Then I'm going to find some drowners on land, and we're going to try and take those out before we go and speak to Tomira, so that we can get a drowner brain and we can make the potion. Now we'll need to at some point get buckthorn, which is the actual underwater herb, but I want to get all of the sort of credit for doing that first. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pick up any of the underwater herbs. Don't pick those up just yet. There we go. Got some florins from that. So don't pick up any of the herbs or anything underwater. You can see them on the map, but we'll speak to Tomira first, and then we'll sort that out. So over there you can see there's some wolves, and those things are hidden, so you can that's one of the guarded treasures, so you can get that. But here we've got some Stammelford's dust and other things. Those are components that you use to make bombs. So yeah, some really good stuff there. We want to make sure that we just go and get a drowner brain first, so that is our next important thing. So we're going to ride right past these wolves. We don't care about those. And there's one of the easiest places to fight a couple of drowners that are at a reasonable level down here on these beaches around here, and also there is some around about this area. So either here or here we can tend to get some drowners that way. So we're going to go and try and find a drowner, try and take one out and get a drowner brain, and that is how we make our main healing potion, and that's the best way of healing up when we are basically early in the game, or indeed through much of the game actually. So here is a lone drowner, so you can get Quenon first of all outside of battle, and that will let you use the stamina to cast Igni again. And as you can see, if you can set him burning, then by the time you've got your stamina back because of Griffin, the Griffin bonuses we've got, you'll have a better chance of burning it. Oi, come here. You'll have a better chance of burning it, and also be able to quickly get your stamina back and then take it out that way. So do we get a drowner brain? No. Right, okay, so we just got to carry on finding these drowners and try and get those there. So we've got a little bit of a hidden treasure here, so we can get this. Got the lily key there from this corpse, and I want to be looting this little thing here. Have to dive underwater to get this. That's locked, and that should be the key that we just got there. Okay, so we get some more florins, and that will get you a little side quest to add to your search as well. So as we didn't get a drowner brain from the drowner there, the ones that you can always find several drowners are this area down here and along this beach. So this is a crucial little place to go. So again, two ways we can go. We need a drowner brain first before we go and speak to Tomira, really. So I think I might just try and do that first. So let's go fast travel before we speak to Tomira, because we might as well try and get that drowner brain before we do anything else. So that is our next focus and point of call.
Whoa there, Roach.
Anything interesting there? Nope. Right, so we're just going to ride all the way down, try and get that. Now, one other very useful is you can fast travel, and fast travel advances time, much like meditation does. So you can advance the time, go from day to night, skip a few days, stuff like that. And the reason that that's good is because it'll actually allow the person in town centre, the innkeeper, Elsa, I think she's called, to sometimes have more of the decoy cards, sorry, which are very useful for your Gwent deck. So I'm going to try and get those decoy cards, see if she's got another one available yet. There's Bram, he is the guy you saved. He has a very expensive armor set available if you want to buy that, but we won't have that much money yet. Don't need to talk to Vesemir just yet either. I'm going to have a look at a few things here. So we'll just see if she's got the decoy cards. You can tend to buy those from her, and there you go, she's got another one. So I'll buy another one there. There are 3 in total that you can buy from her, and again, I always sell like the lager and things like that, because I'm never going to actually use those to heal. And you just make sure that you keep a couple of foodstuffs. We're not going to need tons of it, so keep some of the good ones, sell some of the lesser ones, and that's that. So sell a few of these and gradually build your money up that way as well.
Farewell.
And go from there. There is also the stash. There's a stash here. There's one in Novigrad, which is a big town, and there's one in Skellige. And you can stash things in a number of places, and they'll always be available in the other stashes as well. That's a good way to keep your inventory weight that you don't need. Okay, so let's go and get this drowner brain. There are 2 ways. You can either fast travel, or you can try and just travel there directly. White Orchard's not that big, so I'll just travel there directly. Make sure we grab some of these things. Okay, so let's grab Roach again. And as we said before, where we want to be going now is down this way. So there'll be drowners here, so we'll try there first. And you can get some good stuff from under this bridge, and then there are more drowners down this way. So we'll check these little locations, try and get those drowner brains, and then we'll go and speak to Tomira the herbalist. Get ourselves oriented correctly. There we go. Alright. So I'm going to ride down and try and get these things here. I think it's on... which side of the river are we on? We are on... yeah, this side of the river. So we'll ride Roach down here. Break that guy's legs. Sorry, dude. And as you can see, we've got a couple of drowners here. So you can always make sure that you've got Quen up, and it'll let your stamina regen out of combat. And then these ones are only level 3, so you can dodge around a bit. It's a good idea to try and get them all around one of these red barrels, which are like fire barrels. So if you can set them burning and then jump back, you get a safe distance away, and then get this stuff sorted, and you can sometimes get them to explode like that. So he took a load of damage there, and that leaves us with only 1 drowner. So Igni's good against these in general. It's very, very powerful when you've got that sort of these like explosive barrels. So if you can get them burning from distance, that's why again why Griffin School techniques make such a big difference. And we took those out fairly easily. So they should all drop something, hopefully. Well, he didn't, that was rude. And what we want is that Drowner Brain. So as soon as you've got that Drowner Brain, that's absolutely crucial. And we can have a look at that. So what have we got? Broadhead bolts, Doppler decoctions, useful things like this. But once we have at least one Drowner Brain from killing the drowners, that is when you can go here to Alchemy and you can see what required ingredients you have, and you can make a few different things here. So the thing that we wanted the Drowner Brain for was with the Dwarven Spirit and Celandine that we've looted from various places, got that Drowner Brain, and we can make Swallow. And Swallow is absolutely crucial and is by far our most effective method of healing. And like I was saying, as long as you've got alcohol, you can make this again, and whenever you meditate you will get your 3 Tony Owl and your 3 Swallow back. So once you've built up a couple of like stocks of alcohol, you've got a bit of the alcohol sorted, you can be quite judicious in your use of potions, and that is extremely useful. So you make put use of potions all the time in Deathmatch. I will normally be focusing on the alchemy tree through most of this, and that's why it's really useful to get that bit of alcohol early on. Prioritize getting a Drowner Brain as safely as possible. I mean, you can always save in case you die first, you know, so it's not like, you know, you have to win that first encounter or anything. And as you saw, using those sort of tactics, I feel like killing the drowners is pretty easy. And make sure you pick up the yellow plants, which will be either Celandine or Blowball, so that once you've got 5 Celandine and that Drowner Brain, all you need is a Dwarven Spirit, which you'll pick up from looting. Like these are Celandine as well, so you can you know, pick those up still. And there's plenty of opportunities to be getting 5 Celandine to go with that Drowner Brain, and then that is enough for you to be making everything there. So then we follow our objective to the Herbalist Hut, and this is where we will meet Tomira. Alright everyone, so we'll pick up next time where we left off there. Just a very quick going over what we've done, the key parts of the build as it is so far. Warrior's Leather Jacket, the Viper Steel Sword and the Viper Silver Sword. They're the only things you really need to worry about, in my opinion, in White Orchard in terms of gear. And then so far, we're not very far into a build at all, but Griffin School Techniques is the first one, and then we follow up with Poison Blades, and we'll be moving on to things like Protective Coating and eventually Delayed Recovery or Fast Metabolism, depending on how we want to shape that up. So that was the first episode. I really hope you enjoyed, and please like, comment and subscribe. It helps me out, and you can, you know, walk along the journey as we go once more on the path